everyone, and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do a planner video, but I'm going to do something just a little bit different because this planner is a planner that I created for next year. So every, I don't know, July, August, I start thinking about what planner am I going to use next year. And I always have this like sense of urgency in trying to figure that out. And this year I thought I don't want to do a digital planner. I think I want to do a print planner again. But the thing is, I didn't want to have to like go scour the internets and figure out what planner worked for me and what would work for me. Because usually if I buy a planner, there's always something about it I don't like. And so this video is about the planner that I created selfishly for myself. I used Canva to create the manuscript and save it down as a PDF that was printable. And then I printed my planner, or I sent it to Amazon KDP. That's their print on demand service. And that's how I did it. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this raw and dirty. I'm not gonna be hung up on if it's perfect. I'm just gonna create something that I really want and just kind of use it as more of this test. And maybe if I really like this planner, maybe next year I'll do something a little more, I don't know, high quality might be the right word. So I did 4 different versions of this planner. I couldn't decide on what cover or what art I wanted to use and graphics throughout, because I did want to decorate it. I didn't want it to be this simple like lines and pages and calendaring. Like really wanted to add some beauty to it. So I used a School of Wizardry themed graphics that I purchased the rights to on another website that I'll actually put in the description down below. And then I also created a version that is witchy Easter Ostara themed. Also, I created a color version, full color versions, and then black and white versions, because I figured if I'm going to put this up on Amazon and anybody else decides they want to buy it, they have 2 options. They can either spend a little more money and have the full color version, and I want the full color version, or they can spend a little less money and have the black and white version. So that's what I did. So I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to go ahead and get to the flip through. Again, this is like simple. It's goal planning. It's purely selfish. This is how my brain works. But I wanted to share it because I thought if anybody else out there has trouble finding their own planner and that really fits with their brain and you want to create your own, it's like totally possible. And so I'd be happy to walk through how I did this if anybody's ever interested. But at first I thought I'd just show you what I'm going to be using next year. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the flip through. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and walk through the simple goal planners that I created for myself. I actually created 4 versions in total. 2 versions with the School of Wizardry theme. One has a color version, so it means full color inside. And then one is a black and white version, so it's cheaper to print. And so all the stuff inside is going to be more of a black and white color, or not color. And then I created an Easter / witchy / Ostara themed goal planner, also on KDP. I did 2 versions of this as well. I have a full color version where all the graphics inside are in full color. And then I also have a black and white version of this one. And so I have these 2 different themes. So I'm going to end up having to choose which one I'm going to use next year. All right, so just getting into the layout. So what I've done is, and I did this in Canva. So if you ever want to create your own planner to fit your brain and the way you think and the way you like to plan things or operate, you can totally do this in Canva. And what I did was I wanted to color the edges of the page so it was easy to know what section you were in. So you'll see that there are 4 different sections. Yellow is the yearly goals and the end of year reflection. The orange color in this one is mid-year reflection and goal planning. The green, lighter green, is monthly goal planning. And then I have the dark green, which is for the notebook pages. And so As we move through, you'll see that, first of all, when you're printing with KDP, I find it's not perfect. And you really have to decide, am I sacrificing quality for price? And so for these, what I did was I chose a step down in terms of paper. So you'll notice there is some bleed through here. You can see through a little bit. I don't care because I did this for me, and so I don't care. But if you wanted to create your own planner and you wanted it to be so that it's not bleeding through, if you choose the highest paper quality, that should work. And just know that the price will go up quite a bit. So in the yearly section, I have a snapshot of the year. Again, this is undated. You'll notice January through December. And then I also have a page here that can be used for whatever you want. Then I have a reflection on the previous year. So I have these 2 pages. And so what I do, and the way I'm going to be using this, and the reason it's not lined is because I like to leave space and flexibility for pictures or diagrams or a chart, or maybe I want to divide it up on my own and create a list of something. But so these pages are very open. They're intentionally don't have lines on them so that they allow for some flexibility. And what I'll do is I'll reflect on the previous year. And typically what I will do is I will write all the things that were successful, what worked, what didn't work, what did I get done, what didn't I get done, just anything that comes to mind, whether that's life, business, family, work, whatever it is. And I will usually divide it into sections, like my personal life versus my career life, things like that. And then I have 2 pages set up for inspiration for the year ahead. And again, this is left blank because I want space for pictures. I want space for quotes. I want space for anything that might be inspiring to me, and I can put it on these 2 pages. And then I have a section here for goals for the year. And so the idea with this is, think more like goals, not dreams and manifestations, because that's on the next page. But this is more like, what are the concrete things that I'd really like to get done in the next year? And I tend to think a little more high level because we're talking about a yearly view. We're not talking necessarily about a task base. So like if I wanted to remodel a kitchen, maybe I'd put that in here. Maybe I wanted to build a course, I would put that in here. Next, I want a space for dreams and manifestations. I always leave space for this sort of thing because for me, dreaming and about the things that I want to manifest and all the things that I would like to do, it's just meant to be this free space to create a list of the things that I want to call in. And then there's a couple of blank pages just in case there's anything extra you would like to throw in. I actually will throw in, I like to do my numerology for the year. So what is my number year? And there may be something else I'd like to throw in there, and I'm trying to think of what it is, but I for sure put my numerology year in here. Okay, mid-year review. So obviously you would visit this section, or I'm going to be visiting this section in June or July timeframe. And I just pick out a time during that 2-month period where I sit down and I reflect. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my goals, and I might even look at my dreams and manifestations page, and I will reflect on those things, and I'll say, okay, what did I complete? So what were my wins? What did I complete? What goals did I complete? What things are still in progress or underway? And I'll write those here. What things are no longer relevant? What things have I removed? What pivots have I made? Because my personal opinion is we should never beat ourselves up for deciding a goal isn't right for us or for quitting. If I don't complete a goal, or I decide to do something different, or I pivot, I really don't look at it as I failed. There's very few things in life that I look at as I failed. What I do though is I've pivoted. I've gotten other information. Maybe I've started doing a thing and I realize it's not for me. And so it's okay. I'm going to pivot and do something differently, or I'm going to do it in a different way, and it's not going to look exactly like how I thought it was. And so I'm going to allow my experience to really inform my progress. So for me, this is the place where I say, okay, I'm removing things are no longer relevant, or I'm pivoting in some way. And then I'm writing down, what are the additions or new projects that I'd like to add? What are the new goals that I would like to add through the end of the year that maybe I wasn't thinking about in January when I did this thing? And then the other thing that I do is I write down, what is my focus for July through December? So what would the focus be for the second half of the year? And then what is my focus for the next 30 days? And the whole idea with this is if you have some really clear tasks or things you can check off the list and get done in the next 30 days, a lot of times it will build momentum towards any of those goals you might have. Next is the monthly section. So this is like super simple, and I don't need to go through every month, obviously, but I'll go through the first month. So we have a monthly snapshot, and again, this is undated, so you can choose when you start this, but I have, in the snapshot is the top 3 goals. So what I do is I write the top 3, what are the top 3 things that I want to get done this month? And honestly, a lot of times I do more than 3. Usually it's like 4 or 5, but if you're going to be really focused, it's good to focus on the top 3 things you want to get done. What are the wins from last month, celebrating the things that you did get done, challenges and pivots, you know, where did you reach roadblocks, where did you encounter challenges, where did you need to pivot or do something different, or say to yourself, okay, I don't know if this is going to work exactly like I thought. Then I have a very basic monthly calendar view with 1 through 31. This is just a high level snapshot of what's going on in the month. And there's also blank section here, intentionally to put whatever is helpful. And then again, I have monthly goals here. And so again, for me, I need flexibility, less structure. So I have a free space here so that I can fill this in however I want and write the goals that I have for that month. And then I have a monthly divination layout. So every month I will do either with tarot cards or oracle cards, I will do a monthly layout just to say, what is the theme of the month coming up? What are the gifts and opportunities? What are the lessons and challenges that I might encounter? And then what is the wisdom for the month? And for me, it's super helpful, but it's also very, very interesting to see how these things come into play and how sometimes the readings seem to really be dead on, and then sometimes it's like, who was I reading for? I don't even know if I was reading for myself. And then I have a task list for each week of the month. And so this is just how I think, this is how I operate. But when I write down my goals for the month, and then I'm like, okay, this week I'm going to start working on XYZ, and I'll write the whole list of things down. And then what happens is I will check things off the list. And then if something's still sitting over here, again, because I wrote it on week 1, doesn't mean I have to get it done week 1. It really just means it's top of mind for me. And then what I'll do is the next week I will shift over or migrate tasks that I didn't complete this month, and I'll put them over here. And then again, I'll check them off the list. And so that's how I operate. And then there's 5 weeks, and then you have a page here, and then we get into the next month. And then I'll just show you at the back, there is a notebook. There's 12 months in here, and there is just a notebook section here at the back. It has several pages just to write some things, whatever I might want to write. One side is lined and one side is blank. All right, so if you have any questions, hopefully this gave you some ideas for your own planner for next year. Again, I did this for myself. This was a completely selfish project. How do I want my planner to look like for me next year? And I did it, and I did not even think of anyone else when I put this together. And maybe that's something you might be interested in doing as well.